All right, when we're back. Welcome back, everybody, to Advantage in Paradise. We're going to get into our recap now. All right. Last we met... Sorry, my chair broke. Fixed it. Last we met... The Wayward Five decided to scry on the meeting between General Aldrich Kinsley and Thatcher. They witnessed the two turn on each other and begin to fight. But as our heroes' spells ended, their scries ended, the last thing they saw was the hidden assassin sent by Curon, Bogdasha, descend and approach the wounded Thatcher and Kinsley. Curon was able to recast his scrying ability after a 10-minute casting time to see the outcome. But Scarlet was using the Carceric Oculus to scry, which can only be used once a day. Nonetheless, she persisted in trying to peer into the dangerous magical artifact, only to find its corrupting gaze looking back. She felt the presence of the far-off entity known as the Harbinger peering back, a known enemy of the Wayward Five and to all people of Aradun. Thankfully, Talray and Mundi snatched the orb away. She fell unconscious with an incomplete sigil etched onto her arm, tangent lines around a circle, seen only once by the party back in the destroyed lay sanctum, in the destroyed office of a mad scientist who had lost his mind to carcery, and seen by Wiswick once in a vision of the Carceric tuning fork being created, being etched onto the arm of another gnome, very similarly to the way it began to be etched onto the arm of Scarlet. Meanwhile, Curon watched a wounded Thatcher awake, holding Bogdasha's mechanical arm. Nearby lay Kinsley's body with his armor molten from Thatcher's magic. A servant brings him a meal, and he demands the servant retrieve his mask for him. The servant hesitates, but obliges. Obliged. The magic of the mask quickly siphoned life from the servant into Thatcher, healing him. The last thing Curon sees is Thatcher helping the servant away, but also dragging the lifeless body of Kinsley away. When the party reunited, an argument ensued regarding Scarlet's attachment to her brother, Thatcher, and Curon's attempt to kill him with Bogdasha. Curon beseeched her to understand that her brother is gone, and the monster that remains is only hindering their mission. On the other side, she feels betrayed by this, since Curon always told her to hold out hope for her brother, and that it wasn't even her idea, really, to scry on them. Discussion does not reach a peace, and the party continues pressing northward to Tor-Lancoroth, the pass that will lead into the Mordnari Hollow, the domain of Queen Ayla. They pushed through the fiery landscape that separated them from Tor-Lancoroth, that surrounded the rotting blood of Bayoret, an ancient and evil dragon. Along the way, Curon sends warnings via the sending spell to Presentius, the leader of the Cuirassy Academy, King Heinrich of Oxlin, and to their old friend Prince Robert back in Vermalcia, to update them on the going-ons of the world, but also of Thatcher's treachery. Along the way, they killed a molten drake, magma drake, casually, as they were flying over this fiery hellscape. But they pushed on. And finally, the party finds their way to the base of the Arcanist Terrace in the Sinvosi Peaks, a switchback carved into the mountainside by ancient magi to reach the Mordnari Hollow beyond. They begin to ascend to reach Tor-Lancoroth, the city on the edge of night, ruled by Archon Ilin Gweld or Kenthala, Inquisitor for Queen Aela, and the man who executed Curon's uncle for heresy. Along the way up, they noticed a familiar foe following them. Sprig, the hunter, an undying champion of Queen Aela, last seen in the fight with Varys Moonbound, where she seemed to have a tentative truce with you all in the ways she walked away. But now she's returned to your presence. For what reason, you don't know. But this is where we left off, on the precipice of a weakened Queen Aela's territory, approaching a very dangerous city and a very dangerous land for you all. Wayward 5, you've only traversed up a portion of the long switchbacks that lead to the top of this mountainside. You're about to approach the first larger terrace where pilgrims tend to make camp, and the first shrine along the Arcanist Terrace. Curon, you have been here before, of course, 1 year ago, when you first went to Terrace Moor. You're about, I'd say 20 minutes away from the first shrine at this point, which you have been ascending. It's only been a few moments since you noticed Sprig following you. You were all together. What would you like to do?
Curon turns to whomstever is nearest. I imagine Ekbalgoth is there just so that I can do that thing where I talk to myself. But if anyone else is around or wants to overhear this, Curon will simply say, there's a shrine just a short distance ahead. Keep the party together and wait there for me. I'll join you in due time. Going off to do something else, cleric. Fine. Come, adventurers. Let's do as the old man says.
Kieran, what are you doing?
He pulls him closer and looks towards the others and goes, "We have a tale. It's Sprig.
Oh.
I simply wish to chat with her, and should it be necessary, I'll bring her to the first shrine up there."
Do you want us to continue or wait?
Wait at the shrine. I don't think we should separate ourselves from each other too far, just in case. Be careful, though. There should be a guard by the shrine, though they tend to just sit and watch.
A single guard, or?
Just a single guard. Though don't underestimate them. They're some of the most skilled of the Luna Protectorate.
They're not going to raise any eyebrows at us outsiders at all?
A few outsiders are occasionally seen on the pilgrimage to Terrace Moor. And Curon looks at the party and, eyes Ekbalgoth and goes, "Don't bring too much attention to yourself." And then he's going to take a step back and goes, "Don't worry, I'll kind of be along with you all as well." And he's going to cast Mislead.
Ooh.
So you all watch as where Curon is, very faintly you watch as he disappears, and as he does, stepping out from the space he was in is a complete double of Curon, down to the T. And without speaking or without really, doing anything, it just starts walking straight up the path. Bless you.
That was in character.
That's the one thing it does. It turns around and looks at Kaze and goes, "Bless you," and then goes back.
So yeah, you see this simulacrum of Curon step out almost of his own presence and keep moving forward. As he hangs back to let's Sprig catch up with you? Or to
Yes,
just go
yeah.
directly to her?
No, he's gonna just hang back and let her ascend. Except for, I guess it is
Yeah, how long
an
is Mislead?
hour.
Okay.
It's an
Well,
hour.
she's not that far behind you, so
Okay, cool.
So it wouldn't take you an hour for her to catch up with you, or you to catch up with her.
Right.
It's kind of like if you're looking at the switchbacks going up, she's like 2 down typically, so it'll only take her a little bit to catch up with you.
Alray's just been laying on Mundy's back, and Mundy just starts taking off after the fake Huron. And Talray's like, you don't even know if he's paying attention. Like, Mundy's just, leading the way.
Scarlet throws up her hood and follows behind. Moodily.
Okay. Okay. Can I get just like a general marching order of the party? Do you have the Huron simulacrum going at the front?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
like to follow right behind it if I can, because I like to ponder the Simulacrum as to the extent of the magic that is here. Like, if it can have a full conversation, if like I haven't put my finger through it, like if it's an illusion fully, or I'm just kind of like curious of the magic.
Yeah, the way it seems upon inspecting it, you don't even need to do a check for this, I would say.
No, yeah, it's not a check. I'm just saying that's my character. It's like as we're walking,
Yeah,
I'm just like,
yeah.
so all your memories reside within you.
I believe that this is just an illusionary double. This form I can speak through and gesture, but I cannot see or hear unless I, in my true form, am blinded and deafened.
Understood. So I'm speaking to the real Kiran.
Yes. I am not a duplicate.
Mhm.
Merely a double. Which I guess is like a duplicate.
Well,
You
you're
know-
not even necessarily a double technically because you are invisible.
Right.
Like,
You're
Huron
right,
is
Essel.
invisible.
Right.
I am an illusionary double, is what it says.
Understood.
So we have fake Huron, Sarathil,
Mundy's probably behind that, close behind.
Mundy,
Scarlet.
Scarlet, and Timber.
Timber.
And
Just
then
look at
where's
his around his shoulder every so often.
Ekbralgoth?
I think Ekbargoth is sticking closer to Kiran.
Mhm.
Maybe half a step behind Sarathil.
Okay. So, Kiran, for you, when you're hanging back, are you, because since you're invisible, are you just waiting until she catches up and then you're going to either just speak or reveal yourself kind of thing? Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All
so
right.
he's like just leaning against the wall.
Perfect. All right, so then I'm going to spell out the scene for the rest of you when you arrive at the shrine, and then I'll jump back to Kiran when Sprig catches up to him. So for the rest of you, you are sort of ascending the last rampart that leads up to the shrine. When you get there, it is a larger terrace that has been carved out. It's not as perfectly refined as the stone that you've been traveling up, which was crafted by ancient wizards to be basically perfect roads. This has been carved, the shrine has been carved into a natural precipice of the mountainside, where you would see there is a circle of columns that are all kind of connected at the top with a dome. The dome is not completely solid. It's more of a kind of a made up of like metal vines that have been crafted so that the moonlight can still peer in to the shrine below. There is a single guard standing outside of in front of the shrine. They are probably 6'7". They have full plate armor on that has this that is hued purple. They have a tabard on that is a dark purple, almost black, with the sigil of Queen Ayla's house on the just the sigil of Queen Ayla on the tabard itself. That is a crescent moon that is turned so the points are pointing down. And then within the crescent moon is a blank face of a woman, just pale, almost indistinguishable from just like a mask of a person. And this tabard goes and it descends down to the boots of this soldier, and they are standing there with a great sword held at the center, just like this, pointed downward at their feet. With a helm that has a very, very small crossguard where you can just barely see the eyes behind them. With on the top of the helm, descending from the back, is long tresses of what you can presume are, you might presume them to be horse hairs, but are truly unicorn hairs that descends from the helm in a braid. And they just stand there stoically, quiet as the night, not really speaking. You see one of those old pilgrims you saw when you first arrived, just at the shrine, knelt down, staring at it. Within, because it's an open shrine, you'd be able to see the statue within, which is a statue of a very tall soldier figure. You don't necessarily recognize who it is. It's just some Elysian elf. With a plaque underneath with the details in Elysian of who they are, with several offering bowls for different ritualistic offerings, tributes to pay to the shrines as you ascend as part of the pilgrimage. Upon closer inspection, you'd find gold coins in there, wreaths of dying flowers, folded up letters. There's all sorts of things. Just ash as well. People come here and to offer their ashes of their deceased relatives at times, as well as just bottles of alcohol that are plugged and laid at the feet of this champion, and any kind of anything you can consider to be a gift to a loved one, you can find here, as well as anything that might have any kind of emotional echoes that have been offered to this champion. And there's only really one other pilgrim here, so it's an area where people will often camp out in the surrounding areas if this is where they're stopping for the night. But there's only one other pilgrim and this one guard here. So, what would you like to do?
Ekbralgoth leans over to Sarathil, looking at the guard, and goes, I think we can take him. What do you think? He doesn't look that tough.
Trying to keep it quiet is like most likely, but we do not know of who watches and the alerts that would be set off in this sort of place.
You're no fun, he says as he walks off.
What if we just ask him if we can walk by?
As you all are. Oh, go ahead.
Harry, we're supposed to be keeping a low profile.
I wonder if he likes pets.
As you're all whispering to each other,
I was gonna say, Mundy's a large creature. We have not been showing off a low profile.
anyone who's kind of keeping an eye forward would notice as you're approaching the guard, stolid, but their head just turns ever so slightly as they see you approach and have eyes on you.
The Curon double will kind of like motion to the party like this, as if it's kind of like a wait here, and then move into the shrine to go kneel.
Wait.
The guard, as the Curon double goes forward, the guard just sort of nods to Curon and then returns its gaze to the rest of the party, keeping an eye on them as outsiders.
Timber tries to copy Curon and go to the shrine and assume a form of prayer. Oh, owls. Or monkeys. What is that?
Owls.
Okay.
At least that's what the Syrinscape says. Earlier I had an eagle call on, but I didn't like how it sounded. Timber, as you approach, the guard is just kind of like following you as you approach with his gaze. And as you approach, he doesn't stop you, but he does take a step forward as you approach. Almost, it's an inquisitive step forward. That it's more like his presence is asking a question of what are you doing than him actually asking it.
I just try to, even though a little nervous, just continue like just acting casually, just going next to Kieran. Try not to make eye contact. I don't know if you want me to perform.
No, because there's not really, you're not really performing. You're kind of just going with the motions. The guard is just keeping a very watchful eye on you. And then kind of turns and looks to the rest of you as the two enter the shrine together.
I think that I'll probably just tap Mundy with my heel, and Mundy will do like a little bow towards the guard, just lowering its head.
The guard gives this is the first real response he's given to anyone, in that he actually does bow to Mundy as a Moonstone Drake. Mundy does come with a little bit of respect in these lands, just based on his being a distinctly rare and beautiful creature native to these lands that is seen as an intelligent aspect of Ilyvanya's grace. He gives a bow to Mundy and just a terse nod to you, Talray, as clearly the friend of this beast.
The beast immediately sits on its hinds and starts licking its nuts. Stop that!
I'm not even going to get into dragon anatomy here. What is Sarathil doing?
I'll be staying out as well. Just remain calm and just trying to show whatever respect in this area he can.
Okay. Timber, you would see the as you go in to kneel next to Curon's simulacrum, you see this raisin of a old Elysian woman is there, and she just sort of
mean.
I think that's just an accurate description of a 950-year-old woman.
Okay.
But she just kind of like she was down praying, and she notices you two arrive, and then she kind of looks over and goes, "Oh," and she sees you in your bestial werewolf form.
Not thinking right away, I probably should have became a human. Good praise be to Ilyvania, right?
Oh,
Nailed it.
yeah, yes. Of course, I don't. Am I seeing right? Are you a wolf?
No.
What?
You lying to this woman?
You see, she starts to really question everything.
Her?
She goes back to praying,
Are you?
and just every now and then she just looks out of the corner of her eye at you. And if you try to talk to her, she just sort of ignores you now, because she's 100% thinks she's hallucinating you after you said that, as she's praying fervently to this shrine now.
Are you okay?
Don't look at him. Don't look at him. But now that you're up close, Timber, you would immediately notice that this soldier that is enshrined here, you recognize their weapon that they hold, similar to the guard outside. It is the same moonstone scepter that the Varus Moonbound bore. This is a shrine to him as the first champion of Queen Ayla and the first sovereign of Elysia. And you would notice all these bowls with different offerings in them. In the central one, you would notice there's this somewhat shriveled helix fractal carved fungus in the middle, which you would recognize as the Telwood Hama that Curon constantly first grew off of his staff, that now grows off of your spear. But that he has told you about before, the fungus that creates these huge pillars in Elysian villages and seen as kind of the central point of any home in Elysia. And there's one sitting here that was offered a long time ago, maybe 1 year ago. Go ahead.
And the other bowls, is there any sort of like, is there any charity?
Yeah. Yeah. There's plenty of you see, like, these, it's a testament to the faith of Elysians and the pilgrims who go on here, and that there is a small fortune of gold and silver in these bowls, and that are you can presume there might be some take a penny, leave a penny happening, but for the most part, it's shocking how much wealth sits in this shrine, that you'd almost presume, coming from human lands, that the church would have taken this already to go to their coffers. But even no matter how twisted Ayla's Cloister of Seers has become, they still don't steal from their faithful.
Okay. Sean, I have a different question. Since I'm, level 15 now, my shifting ability, is it quieter or is it still bone crunchy?
I'd say I'd say you've spent enough time shifting that you've adjusted to it, and it's a little less horrifying. There might still be some cracks that happen in sound, but for the most part, your shifting is you've become a bit more of a master shifter.
Okay, great. I'm gonna, if like nobody's really paying attention, I'm just gonna wait for a quick moment to just shift it to a human.
Okay. Yeah, you could definitely do that.
And then look over at the old woman again. Are you okay? Is everything okay?
Oh. You could have swore you were a wolf.
Oh,
but these old eyes. These old eyes.
Like quadrupedal? Like, how was I sitting if I was a wolf?
You don't remember?
What are you talking about?
It's a long way for a human to come to a shrine of the champions of Ilyuvania.
Is it? What is it? What is your name?
We're gonna shift over to Curon right now. To give this poor old woman a break. But Curon, your allies have moved ahead of you now up the rampart to the shrine, and it's only it's maybe 10 minutes later that you would hear the footsteps of Sprig coming up. And she's cloaked, but she's not aggressively hiding herself. She's just generally probably concealing her kind of undying form, and trying to pass as just sort of a pilgrim walking up. But unmistakable, you can notice her weapons, and once she's close, and you can see her face under the hood.
So once she walks past Curon, like a step or two, he'll move off the wall and go. So can Ayla no longer teleport you, now that her monoliths have been destroyed? Or are you just going for a stroll, for old time's sake?
She turns quickly to where you are, and there's maybe a millisecond of shock when she doesn't see you, but it vanishes quite quickly from her undying face.
At this point, Kieran will
Dismiss.
Can't dismiss, thank you, the mislead. So as Kaze's sitting there talking to this old lady, all of a sudden the old elf next to him just...
What? Are you okay?
I have to go now.
Are you seeing?
Goodbye. And then she starts walking away, extraordinarily slowly, but as fast as she can, with her long walking stick. As you see, this little old 900-year-old woman starts to continue ascending these massive switchbacks up to the top. But as you reveal yourself to Sprig, she would answer you. When I reach the top, she will know my presence here. With the work of you and your allies, have weakened her ability to recall her champions. How is your mind, Huron?
Free for the moment. My ally, the other resurrected, truly resurrected by Ilyvania, not Ayla, has a item that allows him to purge my mind of Ayla's influence.
She has her ways of crawling back in.
No doubt. I expect the closer I get to Therismore, the more difficult it will be. But for the time being, it allows me to lead my companions closer to the inevitable conflict.
Quick question, Kieran. Because I don't think we hashed the details out. We may have, I just might not remember. You put Varys' body to rest, right?
Yes.
Yes, and remind me where you put him to rest. Was it inside the fort at the base of the tree?
I believe so, yes. It was at the base of the monolith. The new Ashkeeper tree.
Okay, just double checking. I thought that's what it was, but I wanted to check. I thank you for the grace you showed to Varys.
I merely treated him as he deserved. He was once a great leader amongst our people, brought low by Ayla's, I want to say corruption, I do, but it's not a corrupting force she uses, but a beguiling one, where you lose your sense of self and just become another one of her pawns.
Beguiling oath we take, though I know you did not. Nor did Ulamo. The rest of us chose this life.
But did you know what it would entail?
It's hard to know what millennia will entail, champion.
Understandable.
It's as she calls you champion that it kind of reminds you of what Ayla has done to you physiologically. But then also, it also somewhat recalls the way she spoke to Rodrin in that way, the very camaraderie. Like there's a lot of camaraderie to her and Rodrin. Thinking back to when he gasped, "Are we free?" Which is not yet champion. What will you do now?
Well, we hope to ascend to the Arcanist Terrace, make our way through Tor-Lancoroth as quietly as possible, and then move against Ayla and Theris Moore.
You do know whose city this is.
I'm well aware of the Magister that sits atop the Grey Tower.
Do you know what has become of him?
Have things changed in the past year?
Millennia are long, but a single year can be even longer. If you knew the Magister before, you might not recognize him upon ascending these steps.
What has she done to him?
There was a final champion you never met. Because it is kept quiet. It would not look well upon the peoples of Elysia to know a Magister still practicing the arcane arts was gifted a divine blessing.
I might argue that would unite the mages to the north. But
Perhaps what she hoped. But the Enthelion unity is more distaste for the divine than the peoples of Elysia have a distaste for the arcane. Whatever questions you have, champion, whatever inquiries you have of me, this is your only opportunity. But once I step beyond the walls of Tor-Lancoroth, I can't say.
walk with me, please, Kieran says as he starts to make his way towards the shrine. And as they walk, he'll go, "So, do you have some ounce of self-control now?"
I believe so. But what truth there is in this freedom is uncertain. For I have seen what happened to my champion.
It's your truth, Sprig, and yours alone. Once you reach Tor-Lancoroth, your truth vanishes, and you are but another servant of a blind queen. Why not run? You can have something of a life out there. You could see the beasts of the woods, maybe tame a few stalkers, see the youths as a new generation of Elysia rises up. But going to her side, I must dismantle all she has built. I don't want to dismantle you, Sprig, or any of the other champions. She rose you for the right reasons, but she keeps you for her own selfish interests.
In the meditation pools,
You mean the brainwashing pools?
she told me the things you might say. Of the freedoms you offered. And what you've done to your own champions.
Oh, please enlighten me. What have I done to my companions?
I would like to see the forest again. Not in a hunt for my own people. You've been reborn only a short time. The bitterness is not set in.
A bit has crept in.
Give it a few more millennia. I am oldest now that you freed Varys. It's hard to run from what has become nature.
Then would you like to fight it?
I don't know.
I believe my companion could potentially free you for a time from Ayla's hold. If you wished. Remember, it is your truth now that you live.
I must see Ratrin again. That is the truth I know.
I understand. And I imagine now we're closing in on the shrine, and Kieran will say, would you like to travel the rest of the way with us? Maybe have some living friends for one last moment. See what my freedoms truly look like.
Perhaps. It's a long road up. I will be close. Perhaps I will stay. I can't promise I'll stay the whole journey up. But I suppose at least we can both go and offer prayer to our fallen comrade. As you both reach the exterior of the shrine and rejoin with the party.
Kieran will just nod to everyone and then enter the shrine, taking out the scepter of Varys and holding it in his hands as he prays in front of it.
Sprig would join you in the shrine, and she would lower her hood and kneel before the visage of Varys and close her eyes in her own silent prayer. You can see that sprightly face, the youth that seems there despite how old she is. A completely different Elysian. So long ago that she's almost more wood elf-like to a certain extent. But she silently prays beside you at the shrine of Varys.
After a short amount of time, when it would, kind of be natural for a prayer to be over, Kieran will reach out and grab the lattice ball of Telwood Hama, very gently bringing it up and showing it to Sprig, and goes, 1 year ago, I made the pilgrimage to Theris Moor with a message to Ayla, a message given to me by Iluvania. On the ascent, I left this for Varys. A simple item of homage, but one that I cared for and tended to for months before my journey. Now it all just seems so, and then he applies a little bit of pressure and just seems so meaningless.
I remember. I remember your presence. You were called a fool.
Amongst other things, yes.
And now you sound like a seer. She looks at you. Not like the river clerics or the hedge cleric who believe in great rhythms and strings and weaves. You sound like a seer.
I guess she's influenced me more than I wished. But I am still a shepherd of the people. And the people deserve the best. And then Kieran's going to get up, and he's going to cast Stone Shape on Varys, the statue, to clean it up and make it more prominent of which figure it resembles. And then he's going to walk outside, and he's going to motion to Kaze for his spear. And goes, if I could just borrow this for a moment. He'll plant it into the ground and course some magic through it, agitating the Telwood Hama. If there's any, latent spores still in there, similar to how he had done it at the manor, to start creeping out and forming up around the shrine.
Okay. You see the guard did kind of like step in as you came in with the spear, uncertain of what you were doing. And you see Sprig has kind of stood up and put her hood back up and stepped back into the pillars as you do this. But you are somewhat successful. It's not as robust as when you created the sanctuary in Vermelsia,
Right.
but you do see kind of where that Telwood Hama kind of dispersed into spores, basically, and completely crumbled in your hand. You would see the magic you've surged in does catch a few of those stray flecks of it, where you can see them kind of rapidly grow into a more robust spore that then drifts down like a little shard of moonlight into the ground, where you can see just sort of the nascent beginnings of a bulb of Telwood Hama growing at
And
the base of the statue.
Kieran hands the spear back to Kaze, and not breaking eye contact with Sprig, goes, and from the mistakes and useless gestures of the past come new life to pave the way for a brighter future.
She doesn't say anything in response. She just gives you a quiet nod and acknowledgement of what you've said. But seems to now kind of not keep her distance, but she separates herself from you and the party.
Rejoining the party, Kieran goes, I apologize for the delay. We should continue going. Thank you for indulging me.
Is that Sprig character gonna try and kill us again? Because by my count, it's been like twice already.
No. We'll be safe.
Alright, I take your word for it.
We should get the move on.
And Kieran, we set off.
Okay. Just
I don't
like
have
that.
coconuts, sorry.
And you guys aren't on horses.
Rocco.
Right,
Yeah.
that's why we don't have course.
Yeah. All your horses
That's
are back in Vermelsia.
That's the clop of dragon hooves.
The snuggle babies. Okay. So you continue upward, ascending the Arcanist Terrace. It's about I'd say early afternoon at this point. You are probably going to reach the summit in the early evening. It's probably in like 5 or 6 hours from now. If you keep moving, unless you take breaks, it'll take longer. Or if you want to stop and wait until the next day to ascend, you can. As you get higher and higher, the next shrine that you would arrive at would be quite overgrown, with even more so than it was a year ago when you ascended Curon, where you would find a depiction of Sprig, actually, a shrine to her, on the back of a Velic Stalker, though the head of the Velic Stalker has fallen off and crumbled on the ground before the statue, spilling out some of the offering pots. Curon, you would notice in the central offering pot a familiar, somewhat degraded rabbit's foot.
Kieran kind of looks back at the group a little like pleading, almost like, if you don't mind, he's just gonna cast out his hand and a sacred flame a bunch of the overgrowth as he walks, and will attempt another stone shape to refix the head of the Velic Stalker.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely do that. You might need a little assistance getting it all arranged.
Motions over to Ekbaralgoth and goes, make yourself useful for once.
As I imagine, he scoffs and lifts the fallen head, and you can shape it back on to the statue of Sprig. and clean up the area to make it look more approachable and pristine.
Yeah, I
she's-
could use Druidcraft to clear out some of them.
Absolutely.
Overbrush.
Need
I can use Fabricate to maybe mend some
Ooh.
stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
I'm
together
not
you
doing
all.
anything unless you ask me to.
Scarlet broods in the corner.
Yeah, big scowl at the statue for us.
She
Right.
scowls as the party comes together to clean up a visage of their potential, maybe future ally. But it's nice, you Talray, you clear away kind of in a more like natural way than just burning it all away. You kind of bring the vines out and manicure the area so that it looks nice while Curon and Sarathil use their magic to smooth the stone, add where there's what has been subtracted, and curate what has remained to create a very pristine statue of Sprig upon her Velic Stalker, holding up her moonglaves to the air, with the offering pots around her, now as if the shrine was new.
Yeah, I could do a little topiary, make it look a little fancy.
Yeah, absolutely. As Talray gets really, really into the design aspect of where he cuts flowers away, where he grows flowers, where the vines are decorative versus invasive.
Kieran, thanks the party. Thank you, friends. It's only fitting that we respect those that have come before us.
Of course.
And since we might have to kill them soon. Kieran says before quickly shuffling off.
Yeah, and it's as you're leaving this shrine, Kiran, maybe as you're about to make the turn up a switchback where you can no longer see it, you would spot Sprig halting at this shrine. And you can see her kind of come up beside it, and you just see her kind of stroking the mane of the Velic Stalker there. Presumably her original tamed beast that is certainly no longer with her. A vision of what she was.
So, as we ascend, I don't know if we need to do it for every statue, but Kieran would, elicit the help of the party, mostly through pleading looks, to assist in just like slight restoration. We're spending like 10, maybe 20 minutes per statue. And I imagine, as we go higher, they're in better condition.
Yeah.
The state of being newer.
Yeah, I think that my patience would run thin very quickly. Like, the first one, no problem. The second one, I'd probably do a half good job. The rest of them, I would not even look at.
You
Yeah.
monster.
Well, after the next one, you're not going to recognize, only Kiron's going to recognize who they are, like of historical figures. Like the next one's Rodrin, but like after that, they're people none of you know. Like you're like, yeah, we remember those people. They tried to kill us. But no,
I stay outside on all of them, just
Damn
leaning against
people.
the wall.
Damn people.
But yes, you can absolutely create a maintenance of these statues that have long been kind of neglected over the last probably century or so, and clear away what you can and keep them tidy. Adding some time to your ascent, so you'll arrive more in the deeper part of the night than the early evening. But eventually, you would all notice from the through that kind of descending fog, there's kind of always this sort of waterfall of fog that falls from above, that sort of slowly kind of dissipates and then crawls down the next terrace all throughout. You almost like a waterfall. You would eventually start to see the glowing walls of Tor-Lancoroth. You recall being told that there were old magics in the walls of the Morgnari Hollow of Theros Moor, and you can now understand what that means as you see these ghostly, almost a ghostly teal color emanates from these walls. They look like marble that glows a ghostly color, that then leads up to this harsh, dark stone that has veins of a pearlescent blue leading throughout them, as there are these thick, reinforced curtain walls that go across the entire width of the top of the switchbacks, connecting into towers that bleed up from, or pierce up from the mountains themselves, with a central archway gatehouse that is open with these blue, pale blue flame torches on the left and flanking the gates themselves. As you see that old woman, you've despite all your stops, you've caught up with her as she is slowly walking through the gatehouse. The two guards stopping her to question her as the gates are closed this late in the evening. They question anyone who comes approaching the gate. Above the gate, you can see just beyond the wall is the top of a statue beyond the walls. Curon, you would recognize this as the original statue of Queen Ayla, standing about 75 feet high, maybe 10 or 15 feet above the walls themselves. As you can see that that floating kind of plate that hovers above it, and you can see the crown of Ayla there. But all of you can see above the gatehouse is this slow-moving, blinking spectral eye of the same pale blue of the torches, just sort of looking around and blinking slowly. No pupils on it. It's just sort of the visage of an eyeball blinking and looking about from above the gatehouse.
Leading up to Kira and be like, what is that?
This was not here the last time you were here, Kiran.
I'm assuming it's some kind of sentry to alert Ayla of any unwanted guests through Tor-Lancoroth.
Maybe we should hold up a second before we set anything off and figure out our approach.
I agree.
So I'll kind of put like a hand up, I guess, to stop the party.
Yeah, you're probably about 100, 150 feet away from the gatehouse itself. You're just on a stone road. There's no there's nothing to hide behind or anything if you were to not proceed forward. I mean, I guess you could just turn around, but
we still envision of the woman?
You can see her. She's not looking back to you all.
But she's progressing forward.
Yeah, she's much further ahead of you.
Is the eye staring at her? Sorry.
Yes. The eye is staring at her.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess I'll mention to the party. Let's just wait. I'm curious to see. I'd like to examine how this perhaps operates. If you just give me a moment. And I would like to just, let me know if I have to roll anything, but just observe the eye on how it watches the woman.
Give me an Arcana check.
15.
15, okay. So the closest thing that in your mind this eye looks like is a scrying sensor. The kind of scrying sensor that would be created by any of you casting scry. So as far as you can tell, it's stationary. It doesn't seem like it can move beyond looking around from its perspective. And it just seems to be observing. You don't notice any kind of scanning happening, any kind of detect magic going on as far as you can tell with a 15 observation. It just seems like it has a, it's about what, it's not huge also. It's only about 1 foot in diameter. It's just peering and very obviously present. It's not, this is probably the thing that's most odd to you, is that most scrying eyes and sensors are kept invisible by their casters. This is presented, which gives its own kind of, which is probably for its own purpose.
Mm-hmm. And how high up is it?
It's like right above the actual archway of the gate. So you can, if you look at a gatehouse like this,
Yeah.
and the gate itself, it's like right above the gate.
Got it.
Right, right in like a security camera spot.
Of course.
What's the weather like, Sean? Is it dark out yet?
So it is nighttime. I would say it's about 9 p.m. in the evening, so it's very dark out. You basically, if you were to turn around and look back at the vista of Elysia, because you are very high up, and you can see kind of beyond the fog, there is kind of the twilight lights around Elysia, and you can see, it's fully twilight night out there. The sun has fully set by this point, so you don't see kind of the implication of the sun in the distance. But you can see coming from above you, there is sort of these bleeding out dark clouds that come from the Mordnari Hollow. While Elysia is in a perpetual state of twilight, the Mordnari Hollow is in a perpetual state of dark night. So this is sort of where those two meet, where twilight meets pure night. So, it's clear skies, other than the clouds above the Mordnari Hollow, out on Elysia. So it's not like raining or windy or anything like that, but it is very dark out.
Yeah, Talray just like looks to the others and says, "Well, if we want to avoid, getting spotted, I guess we could make use of this darkness and maybe them clouds, fly above the radius and swoop down, land on a roof somewhere. Well, we're probably less likely to get caught if you guys are not of the. For those who are not so stealthy."
I don't know if the flying in the sky is and yes, you're right. The darkness itself would lend us, but I imagine that sensor can see through the dark, giving this perpetual dim state that this.
It's while you guys are talking that you would hear. Those of you with a 15 or higher passive perception would hear it first, and then shortly after the rest would hear it when it gets closer. But you would hear beating wings, similar to Mundy's size, flying, and you would hear them coming from not behind you on the road, but behind you in the sense of like flying up the terrace, as you would hear beating wings coming up really fast and aggressively.
I guess I'm not the only one with the idea.
I look.
What does it? Yeah, I turn around to see what it is.
Give me perception checks for those who want to look off the edge of the terrace.
I'm on the edge.
Are we in a mountain or a forest?
You are in a mountain.
Okay, sweet.
18.
All right, 18. Anyone get 18 or higher?
I got 24.
24.
I got 22.
You didn't get an 18 or higher, Kieran?
I got a nat 1.
Oh,
I
man.
got 16.
Oh, no.
Okay. So those of you who got less than 18, you can hear it fully, like you know where it's coming from, and everyone else who got higher than 18 just sees it before you see it. But basically, what you see is an adult moonstone dragon flying up the side of the mountain, which at first Talray is exhilarating to see. But then you notice they look a little off. They look like they're stuck in between an ethereal form and a corporeal form. And then you see that they're dragging a large sort of bound and netted crate as the dragon is just... And it comes up, and you all would see it now as it's coming up, as you can start to see a glitter off of the glowing stone walls of the fortress of the city. As you can see it come up, and it flies up, and it's this... You see all the dust and dirt around you is kicked up. This is an adult dragon, so it's quite large.
Huge,
it's bigger than Mundy. It's if Mundy was in the next stage of his life.
Oh no.
I don't think they allow that, but yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
They don't allow it for player characters' pets, but but this is what Mundy will eventually become after he grows tired of Talray.
Mundy.
But you can see kind of in that same form flying up, but as they get up, you can see there is an Elysian elf riding the back. And you can see they have this contraption kind of attached around their jaws, kind of like a muzzle, and the eyes look like they are completely clouded over and opaque, as it seems to just fly up and high above you all and over and into the city, as it seems like Ayla is not only using Glowmung, but also Glowmung's horde and brood for other things.
It's children.
As this dragon
Not
flies
the
overhead
children.
into the city itself, into the darkness beyond the walls.
Not the dragon children.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Talray is not taking this well. You can see that, he has a sour face, and the embers on his, broken off antler horn things are starting to, sizzle and glow with ember light. And he decides to dismiss Mundy.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's just standing there, and he looks at everyone and says, "Whatever that was, we've got to stop it."
Quick question.
Mhm.
When it flew over, was there any indicators along the wall? Did the scrying eye seem to look towards it?
Yeah, so when it flew over, you would notice that there was sort of, I would say, give me a perception check is what I'll say.
The gods giveth and the gods taketh away. Well, they took first. I got a nat 20, 35.
Okay. All right, Kieran, you would see a very subtle disturbance in the air above the wall. The scrying eye would have immediately kind of peered upwards towards it and kept following it until it was beyond its blind spots, and then it would slowly return back down to the gatehouse, in front of the gatehouse. But there does seem to have been some kind of, at least in the immediate region above the wall, some kind of interference of magic where, whether it's a sensor that senses when people climb over or fly over, or if it's a detect magic kind of thing or an illusion breaking thing, you're not sure what the magic itself is. But when the dragon flew through above the gatehouse, some kind of magic affected it. Something kind of, it moved through a membrane, I guess is actually the better way to put it. Not sure if that membrane goes if it's a dome or goes up higher or is just 50 feet above the wall, what it might be. But there was some kind of extension of the scrying.
So Curon reaches out a hand and puts it on Talray's shoulder and goes, "Of course, my friend, of course. Our goal is to free Glowman, and hopefully with that, we'll free the rest of your friends." Motioning to the Moondrakes. But first we must get through here. It does seem as if flying is not our option. There's some kind of barrier of a detection sort, not necessarily a physical repulsion barrier, but...
No, what about the brooches? The brooches of disguise self? Should we...
you have brooches?
Oh yeah, Kieran wasn't there when you guys got those.
You can have my brooch if you want it.
I feel as if an Elysian will have a better chance of going through.
This is a very good point. Should we test whether or not the eye can sense invisible individuals?
I have a feeling it will be able to see invisibility. We should assume this is the easiest, most direct route to Ferrismore. if Ayla has any inclination of a direct assault, even then, the Inquisitor that rules this city will be keeping a sharp watch. And Kieran almost like looks back over his shoulder, like kind of hoping someone might wander up the path, but shakes his head if they don't show up in the immediate second that he looks.
Talray's still not happy. He's gonna come up and say, if you're worried about spoiling our surprise, then we shouldn't even be stopping at this place. We can fly around it, you know? It'll probably take less time and we'll be, safer in the overall scheme of things. If you're with me, then we should go inside and save those dragons. They can't be hypnotized the way Glowmoon is because they don't have the machines.
So, 2 things to recap, everyone. 1, we're to meet the druids inside to talk about our final assault. Whether or not they will take down the last monolith in Sarathil, or how we plan to do that. Additionally, I don't know that the dragons are kept here, though we most certainly can look. We must remember, though, the sooner we take out Ayla, the sooner Glowmoon and the Moondrakes will be freed.
Well, I mean, one of them just went inside, and we went about running around the town trying to save all your friends to help fight Ayla. Why can't we recruit some of mine?
Where are you talking about? When was this?
The druids. Why don't we call the druids, see if we can, if they have a way into the city?
Said that they are going to meet us in the city, Talray.
Right.
So
So-
Talray, Kieran
They've been
doesn't want
here
any
longer.
distractions.
I'm sorry?
Kieran doesn't want any distractions. We need to keep our eye on the prize.
I'm keeping my eye on the prize too. I'm just keeping all my eyes open as well. If they wanted to meet us in the city, don't you think they would have some safe way of getting in?
Yes, they are teleporting through the trees. That's what druids do. We need to think of a way in.
Now, what about? I think our best option is what Timber mentioned. At least testing to see if invisibility works. How would you do that?
I was thinking that, one person could be a decoy. No offense to any of you, but I think I'm the fastest one here.
At this, Ekbralgoth strides forward and goes, Please, please, I know I have my uses. Who has one of those brooches? Come, we can all go together. I'll find a way to get us in. Don't you fret your pretty little heads.
Bold. There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity, but here you go.
I would never claim to be brave. And he takes the brooch, puts it on, transforms himself into an Elysian. We'll say he looks like a aristocrat.
Okay.
He might actually confer with Kieran for a moment and go, what do one of your, upper class, one of your upper echelons look like from whatever capital you call a capital here? And Kieran explains to him whatever it would look like, and so he transforms.
Mhm.
And Ekbralgoth kind of looks at the group and goes, You're probably good. The one that just ran away should probably disguise himself, and maybe you too.
I'm coming with you.
We're all going to. I am going to talk our way through the gates. You will all be disguised as part of my retinue. How are you not getting this? But you and you, he says, pointing to Scarlet and Kaze, Timber, should disguise yourselves. The rest of you, I can figure something out. Now, come, let's go. Because as I believe we have 3 brooches left for disguise self.
I believe so.
Wait.
Yeah, because Sarathil and Ekbralgoth used one each.
Yes.
And you all had one, so there should be 3 more. Right.
Right. So Scarlet
Yes.
should still have one. Talray and
Tower
Timber.
Timber.
I have one.
Yes.
Yeah, you each got
Yes,
one
you do.
from Ilgwyn.
The druids gave it to us.
For exactly
may
this
be
kind
our
of
best-
situation.
That
So
may be
he-
a better chance, but wait, similar to what we did last time, let me allow you to speak, Elysian,
Yes, of course.
as I will cast...
I like that.
Yes. Yes, Sean. As I cast...
Now we see it.
I don't have my my hourglass anymore.
Glass. We can see
I will cast tongues on Demon Man, so he can speak Elysian.
Excellent.
All right. So once this is done, Ekbar just strides forward, hoping that Scarlet and Timber have used the brooches of disguise self to turn themselves into Elysians.
I rolled my eyes.
And walks up to the gate and goes, Hello. Apologies for our late arrival. We were supposed to be in a little earlier, but we were held up on the ascent.
So Scarlet and Timber, you disguise yourselves as Elysians?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Just checking. And everyone else is just following behind the 3 Elysians, or 4 Elysians with Curon.
Yep.
Okay. And Curon, you're staying yourself, right?
Yes, he's I don't imagine he even has a hood. But if he does, he would throw it up and, kind of try to keep himself.
I mean, the only thing suspicious about Curon is that a lot of the color has been drained out of him. But
Right.
he still looks like an Elysian elf, so there's not,
Yeah.
unless they pull out a scroll and they're like, that's him.
Yes, exactly.
Eh,
Okay. All right, so we've got 4 Elysians up front, and then we have a wood elf and a dead-looking human behind them.
Well, dead-looking Gwyn, right?
Gwyn, correct, yes, that's right.
Elf, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Could pass for an Elysian at like a quick glance.
That's true, actually. You could pass for a really, really sick Elysian, a really short, sick Elysian.
Yep.
A very feeble Elysian, yeah. Okay. Not to insult Sarathil. Oh,
We did it.
We did it. We
Just
we
on
did a
time.
plan
Time.
and we executed.
you executed the plan in time. All right, can you repeat what Ekbroggoth says when he approaches?
Yes, hello, we're here. Yes, apologies, we ran a little late, we are held up. Please open the gates. We have reservations to make for the night.
You see the 2 guards, as you were stepping forward, you would notice like the gates were just closing back up when the old woman was let in.
Damn it. Trying to get on the tail end of that. That's fair.
But you see one of the guards steps forward while the other one stays behind, hand on the hilt of their sword, and the other hand kind of at their waist where there's also a hand crossbow. The guard steps forward as you proclaim this out, coming forward as an ostentatious Elysian aristocrat, or at the very least kind of just upper class Sarathilian Elysian. And he would just look at you and just say, at first he would say, pilgrims.
Yes, of course, pilgrims here. My parents said it's about time I finally go pay homage to Queen Ayla. So here we are.
You're heading to Terrace more.
Yeah, that is correct, yes.
All of this is an Elysian.
Correct.
He kind of looks over your shoulder to all of your compatriots.
Yes, this is the merry band that's come with me. I know some of them, we've got old cousin Chuck back there, he says, gesturing to Talray.
Chuck.
I look very mad.
Wood elf.
Yes, he... You know how those wood elves can be.
How can
Wandered
they be?
and said, hey, I'm just like you guys, and, well, he's quite entertaining.
What's
I
your
must
name?
say. My name? I am... I'm just trying to think of something. I want to think of something funny, but I won't do that. They call me Alinian to Pantu.
Alinian.
Yes.
Where are you from?
Why, the capital. The civil capital of a wonderful country. Sarathil.
Who are all your compatriots?
Oh, do you want me to list them all? They're simply my retinue.
No, they
come
can
with me
present
everywhere.
themselves if they wish. Who are you all? None of you know what he just said to you, other than Kiron.
I know how to speak Elysian.
You
actually,
know what he says.
I think I might. Hold on.
So Elysian is different from Elvish, just general Elvish. General Elvish, you would be able to pick up on things, though.
No, the tongues.
Oh, you have the Devil's Tongue or whatever it is, right? Or something.
Right.
Or no, the monk thing where you know languages.
The tongue of the sun and moon.
Yeah. Okay. You do then. Is it written or is it spoken as well?
It doesn't have to be to me. It's understood all spoken languages.
Then you know what he's talking about too. Talray, I'd say I've established that Wood Elves and Elysians can communicate in a similar dialect. So the only people who have no idea. Oh, actually no. Sarathil, you would be able to pick up somewhat. You speak. Your Elvish is very old. But you
I get it. I'm the only one that doesn't understand. No girls allowed.
You're not in this group chat either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, get up out of here.
This is a
you-
circumstance of character background choices. What really should have been happening is over the last year, Kiron should have been teaching you all perfect Elysian.
Probably.
Damn it, Huron.
Yep.
Instead, all we learned were prayer songs.
Yeah.
That's what you guys should have done. You
My
should have all been
God.
walking up singing Elysian prayer songs.
Him.
Then they would have guards would have been like, oh fuck, it's another ministry.
Not another one.
But no, so this guard does say to you all, you can present yourselves. Who are you? And of course,
My
Scarlet,
name-
you don't know what he says.
My name is Lollop, and this is my sister. She's a mute. She cannot speak, but she's Lala.
I'm Uncle Chuck. Now open the damn door.
Cousin Chuck.
You mentioned that we're family, right?
No, I just said
just
that
called
you're
you
my
your retinue.
retinue.
Oh,
And I just
retinue.
said he
I
was
imagine the
cousin
uncle
Chuck.
or cousin is more of a like we call him cousin was the
Yes.
implication.
Right.
Okay.
Because he is not directly related to an
The
Elysian,
guard
but
is like
by
walking through the group at this point and coming up to each of you as you say this. He comes up to Timber and Scarlet as Timber introduces Lollop and Lala. I'm just going to assume that you guys had the forethought to make yourselves look somewhat similar as Elysians.
Sure.
Sure.
Or
No,
not.
totally different.
We're fraternal.
You don't look like siblings.
They get that all the time, and it
We
makes
have
me so...
Different mothers. What is?
It's hilarious. I think that's hilarious, by the way. I want to make it very
He
clear.
walks on
How
to
dare you?
and sort of gives a sneer at Talray as he bellows, calling himself Uncle Buck.
Chuck.
Chuck. Sorry,
I
was
got
thinking
the
movie.
name right at least.
And finally it comes to Sarathil.
I will, since I'm looking like an old sick man, I'll act like an old sick man. Like, I am Obadacious.
Obadacious? You look unwell.
I've traveled here, and along with the rest of their reasons.
Are those hands?
You must excuse my friend here. He's eccentric, but he has a really good party trick, and that's why I keep him around, so...
He's really good at
The guard
massages too.
spits on the ground and looks at you, Elinion.
Mm-hmm.
capital retinue. I would like everyone to give me a deception check. This
Give an
guard
intimidate-
seems sufficiently disgusted with you, Elenion. Or, I'm sorry, Ekbralgoth. Like, basically, like, this is exactly what you'd think of, like, I am a soldier in the religious army of Queen Ayla, and this capital filth comes with their sideshows to our sacred ground. All right, let's get all these deception checks.
Oh, Sarah. I thought mine was bad.
This is an average situation, folks, so...
Oh, yep.
Well,
In that case, I'm willing to knowledge of the past
yeah.
and roll a d6 to add to that nat 1.
Oh, no.
I don't think I'm gonna help.
Uncle Chuck got the best persuasion.
God.
You did.
Oh, no.
So I have a
All right, what did everyone get?
5 total.
Sarathil got a 5.
I got 11.
11 from
Also
Lala.
11.
11 from Lala.
I got a 16.
16 from Uncle Chuck. Or cousin Chuck.
Obadacious hasn't been in
5.
hasn't been an Elysian name in over 500 years. That's
And what did Ekbralgoth get?
Ekbralgoth only got a 15.
Oh, wow.
And Curon got a
You're a good.
Oh, that's right. He didn't actually really go up to Curon.
8.
Curon got an 8. Okay.
Well,
The thing that I keep forgetting
was
is that
fun, folks.
Ekbralgoth is not actually proficient in deception. I keep forgetting that I did that, and I keep forgetting why I did that.
He kind of, after going up to Ekbralgoth, he will go to Curon last and just be like, "And who are you?"
I'm but a simple cleric here to try to bring our friend into her grace's light.
Shepherd.
Well, I like to think that it's only because I'm not allowed in Therismore that I would be a seer then. I've been told that I'm more of a seer than a shepherd these days, actually.
And do you vouch for this group?
May I be honest, he says, kind of like pulling him aside and goes, they are odd, they are eccentric, but they are loyal to Ayla, and I think it best if more from the city are able to see her light. Do you agree?
I will allow Curon to do a persuasion roll now.
thank you.
Well, that's Ekbralgoth's persuasion. That's not what I want.
I'll give Curon advantage since he knows this place a bit better. I mean,
12?
you guys... No.
I mean, it's a negative. It's a -1. I don't know what you want from me.
No, I know. But, all right, let's see. He does nod to you, Curon. Sort of, you do gain a little bit of a modicum of respect from him as you say this, because up to this point, he's just been like, this is the absolute worst group I could have possibly seen walk up at 9 o'clock at night on my post. They are titled Sarathilian assholes with their sideshows that they brought with them. This ridiculous backwoods wood elf they brought with them. All right, let's see what this average is.
Not great.
All right, let's see. Okay. Yeah, that's not terrible, but it's not great, I would say.
Not what we want to be sitting at trying to get into a city.
So your average was roughly 13.
Ew.
The guard looks back at Curon and to Ekbralgoth, Alinion. Gates closed at sundown. You'll have to wait until tomorrow to come in.
Are you joking? I have a reservation in the local, and at this Kieran kind of goes, yes, my friend, I understand, but you must respect their ways. Thank you. So we apologize again, and we'll make camp.
Curon,
Yes.
with anyone with a passive perception of a 15 or higher would be able to see that this scrying eye is staring at Curon.
Can I immediately shoot the eye?
Oh boy.
You don't get an opportunity to necessarily, as the eye would vanish and reappear next to the guard talking to Curon.
Zendariel! Ekbralgoth yells.
The eye then turns from blue to a kind of the same kind of ghostly green as the walls, and then vanishes. And the guard looks back to the other guard, who kind of looks a little wide-eyed. And then he looks to the rest of you and says,
Can I just, before he even says anything, as soon as he turns to the other guard, I want to pull my gun out.
"Are you sure you want to do that?"
Ekbralgoth and Curon would both be trying to stop him. And at this point, I would ask for initiative to see what happens.
Yeah,
If he wants to shoot them, he can.
Let's roll initiative between Ekbralgoth, Curon, and Talray.
I gotta find it sus that he went reaching for his gun.
Well, at this point, it's like we're already lost. Like I've given up the hoax. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely not going first.
No.
What is our initiatives? Curon.
Curon got a 6. Ekbralgoth got a 3.
I rolled though.
Oh,
I rolled an 18.
Timber got an 18.
I mean, like Timber's always
Timber would be.
Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, Timber's on edge.
I rolled a 12.
Okay. So, and what did Talray get?
7.
What was yours again, Timber? 18?
Yep.
All right, Timber, what do you do as you see Talray reaching for his gun as the guard turns to look at the other guard? Because I imagine Talray's like going like this up to the gun in his back.
Uncle Chuck, what are you doing? Why would you say that to Lala? How could you say such a thing?
I'll look affronted.
Remember, Lala, you don't know how to talk.
I know. I know, but I can understand.
No, I know.
Understand.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, so I'll just be like,
Timber's gonna not hard, but punch Talray in the face.
Roll for it, asshole.
but it's more of like a
oh man.
for acting purposes.
Going for the old Chewbacca maneuver.
Yeah, 18.
That misses.
All right, kick you in the shin with a 25.
You attacked twice? Why would you attack twice?
It's called a feint.
I'm going to shoot you.
The guard turns quickly to the commotion and looks to you all, and he was about to say something else, but then says, "All right. What the hell is going on here? He looks to Curon and Elinion. Keep your retinue calm.
Yes, Ekralgoth says, turning to just stare daggers at Talray and a bit to Timber. Can we please be civil? I know we're all a little upset about having to spend the night outside, but
You don't have to
that's what-
spend the night outside. I was about to say it's your lucky day you've been granted access.
Oh, of course we are. Someone clearly a little smarter than, he says, without saying it, gesturing to them, understands the upper class when they see one.
If it would be up to me, you'd be sleeping on the rocks.
And if it was up to you, I'm sure this entire country would have crumbled long ago. Now please open the gates for us. I'd very much like to lay down on a nice feather bed.
The guard spits on the ground again and returns to his post as the gates just...
A lot of saliva in there. Laugh with me, retinue.
Is the gates...
I imagine no one laughs.
None.
Talray flies ahead without looking at Timber and is looking to like just go through the gates.
Yeah, you can
You
all...
know, not like flying up in the sky,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
just
slightly off
rushing,
the ground.
rushing ahead, hovering.
Yep.
Yeah, you all can enter through the gates, and you would enter into the main street of Tor-Lancoroth. You can see there are these wrought iron fences that separate the 4 districts of the city. To your left, you can see what is known as the... Where are the notes? There. The racks, or as Curon would know it as the Thalion sector, which is where you stayed originally. It's where the barracks are, hence the racks, as well as the public houses for pilgrims to stay in. To your right would be the Woven Circle. You would see Curon, you're familiar with this, you'd see a sea of tapestries blustering in the chill winds of the mountainside, forming the many layers of this district. You would all hear a very distinct and loud chirping chorus, like crickets coming from this space, that echoes throughout the city. Outside of the walls, you would have maybe just thought this was the general crickets of the night, but once you're inside, you can hear that there is a buzzing of insects inside this area, as some of you would even notice some of them peeking out, where you can see these probably 4 to 5 foot tall insect-like humanoids staring out at you all with a variation of different spikes and horns coming off of their heads, with these mandible-like mouths, with these 2 arms coming off of their cheeks, that seem to like feed food into their mouths, and they have 4 arms on their thorax and humanoid-like legs that have that kind of extra hinge, extra knee to them.
Do they resemble the insectoid races of Taramron?
Yeah, a little bit actually. Yeah, except they're not as tall and less mantis-like than the Taramron insect people. They're more beetle-like and cricket-like than them. They don't appear to be able to sustain like long-term flight. Some of them do have wings on their backs, similar to the insectoid wings of the wood elves, but they're very small. They're for Halo fans out there, they're akin to the locusts. And they do seem to kind of like buzz around and just watch you from the tapestries. And you can clearly see through some of these tapestries that they have. This is the shopping district of the city. They are, Huron, you know that the scraps, as they're called, are some of the best crafters in all of Elysia. And they, you know, just by the tapestries they weave, you can tell their skill, but they're also skilled in any craft you can think of. They have someone who's a master of it within that district, within the Woven Circle. As you keep moving down this street, you would eventually find the entrances to these districts in the public square, where you would also find the 75-foot tall statue of Queen Ayla. Those of you who have communicated with Curon know her to look more more ascetic than this statue. She's more of a monk, priest-like figure in her current form. This is a full regaliaed queen presented in this statue, down to the rings on the fingers, the gems, amulets, necklaces, the royal robes, to the diadem on her forehead. This is the vision of a beautiful queen in her prime before she was brought down to the cleric she is now. This statue is also impossibly old. This was here before Ilyvanya's moon was here.
Once we're like, oh, go ahead.
Beyond the statue on the right is the inner walls that then lead to the gray tower that you can see. This dull spire pierces the sky on this southeastern corner of the city, up against the mountainside itself. It's an ancient structure that looks to be built similarly to the walls outside, except all the glittering magic of it has been sapped away, and it's just dull stone now. Long banners hang from the tower depicting that same crescent moon and pale face banner of Queen Aela. And then to the left of that, past the square, is the sepulchre, which is a vast garden holding graves of the many heroes of Elysia, and notably some larger memorials in there as well as the only real green area of the city, and the place where you are meant to meet with the druids. Above the statue in the center of the town, where there's that disc that floats above it, you do see a magical projection of a man standing up there, announcing to the city the evening announcement. As you can see, what you presume is Ilin or Kenthala, but he doesn't look like he looked when you saw him, Curon. The only thing that's the same is that he still has that iron staff that is much too tall for him, and he has an iron helm, but instead of it being blank, it has like several pinholes all throughout it, as if there were many eyes all over the helm. And he wears he doesn't wear that pale or that red and green ornate robe anymore. The robe he wears in this projection is really decrepit looking, and almost for a moment you might think it has a flesh-like vibe to it, as you even think you might even see a little eye open up on it and close. As he is just announcing to the city, "We're now upon the hour that all gates will be shut for the evening. The first pilgrimage begins tomorrow at dawn for those seeking the counsels of Therismore. Please keep the peace in our city of Tor-Lancoroth for our Queen Aela." As the vision vanishes from this pinnacle.
As soon as the vision vanishes, and we're like out of earshot from the guards, like in the center of town, I like turn around to Timber and say, what the hell gives you the right to sucker punch me like that?
Well, you are going to ruin our chances of getting in here. And
No, you can't just throw me off like that. I'm not just some doll for you to what's called ignore after you bully me. I'm not gonna take that line down. Say you're sorry.
You were about to shoot the guards when we were being let in. You understand that, yes?
I admit that I'm wrong, but that doesn't mean that he has to do violence on me.
I agree.
Scarlet was about to, get possessed by an evil orb or something, but I didn't punch her in the face.
Yes, but also making a distraction from the situation to get away from Curon, I thought was necessary.
Did no one else realize that we only gained access after the eye turned green and disappeared? We were shut out before, right. And then something changed.
I believe we will be visited wherever we go tonight. which is why we should make haste and get to. I'm sorry. What's the graveyard area called?
The Sepulchre.
The Sepulchre. The Sepulchre.
Sploocher.
Sepulchre.
The
Sploocher.
Splucher. If
Thank
we can
you.
make our way to the Splucher real quick before the gates close, I can hide us in a tiny hut of Iluvania for the night. It won't be, he says, turning to Ekbralgoth, quite like those feather beds you are hoping for, but it should keep us out of the watchful eyes of the Inquisitor. And
Make there.
no one.
Get there with haste.
Okay, so you're
Let's
gonna
keep
head
moving.
directly to the Sepulchre.
Yes, and
I'm not a fan of those tiny huts, and I don't think I could stomach being around this one for right now. And I just fly off.
but we still have a meeting. And then he
It's
just
okay.
turns to the rest of the group and
Emotion,
go,
but one of what
if I, and he just walks. And as he does, gonna cast Sending to the druids to let them know and ask if they can come.
Okay.
Post haste.
All right. So as you do that, and as you head to the Sepulchre, that is where we're going to take a break. As you have arrived in the city of Tor-Lancoroth.
Good job, everybody.
All right, folks, we'll be back in 5 minutes sharp. So we'll see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Or see you soon, not bye.
Bye.
See you soon. Welcome back to Advantage in Paradise, folks. Our party has just made their way inside of Tor-Lancoroth, not without a little bit of drama. And the presumed vision of someone who may have noticed Curon as the eye at the gate looked upon you all and vanished as soon as they let you in. So now you have just entered into the courtyard and made the plan to make your way directly to the sepulchre to meet with the druids, to get the hell out of here, or to hide as soon as you can. Talray has fled, distressed by the sight of a moonstone drake that is seemingly enslaved, or being forced to do something by the Elysian elves here. So we come back at this point, as Curon has just sent the message to Gideon that you have arrived and to meet as soon as possible. The rest of the party, minus Talray, what would you like to do at this point? Head directly to the sepulchre?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
They need to meet these people.
All right. So you head to the sepulchre. When you arrive to this quarter of the town, you would see that there's a kind of archway, wrought iron gate that leads into this area. It's very much like a traditional graveyard in this sense. As you enter, there are these tall trees that line the pathways throughout the sepulchre. Within the actual groves between these trees, there are individual memorials throughout. All of these kind of have their own kind of like web of small cobbled roads that lead throughout. This is the only part of the town that is not sort of ghostly and in some ways somewhat scorched. And as you would kind of come closer to the sepulchre, you can notice on the mountains that surround this city, the stone is blackened and scorched almost, as if dragon fire had bled through this place. As you get closer to the eastern side of the city itself, representing the blast radius of the original destruction of this area when the Lacington exploded. But in here, you almost feel like you're relieved of the oppression of Tor-Lancoroth, as this feels more like a friendly place in the gardens of the sepulchre. You would come to the middle of the groves here, where you would find a massive sculpture that is the grand memorial of this space, as you will, where you can see there is another statue of Queen Ayla. This one a lot less aristocratic and ostentatious and more matronly, as you can see her in pure marble holding her hands down to Elysians below, desperate, kind of holding up their hands to hers. This is a memorial when everyone believed she died and had sacrificed herself to allow the Elysians to escape Theris Moor. Although Curon and anyone who speaks or can read Elysian would notice that this etching on this does not say Theris Moor, because it was not called Theris Moor at the time. It was called Arcathium, known in Old Elysian as the Radiant Throne, is what the original city was called, Theris Moor. It's Theris Moor's Halls of the Dead. It's what was renamed when Ayla reclaimed the city. But this massive memorial is truly beautiful and divine in the way that it presents Ayla's sacrifice. And there's a fountain relief around this, in this very lovely cobbled courtyard, in somewhat of a grove of these tall green and violet trees. You feel oddly safe here. Is there anything you want to do as you wait for the druids?
Take inventory.
You're missing one.
Timber's counting his potions. So everyone's just waiting around in the general memorial area.
Did I receive confirmation from them?
Yes, you did get confirmation that they will be able to arrive within 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Oh. How about a little prayer?
How about no?
Oh, okay.
I'll just sit around like a long time ago, Sean, you gave me a lovely mechanic. If I sharpen my daggers using a whetstone, they get extra sharpiness. So I'll sit around and do that.
Okay, your dagger is a +1 dagger. It has a +1 to it for the next hour. It's not a. Do you imagine if you got a permanent +1 every time you sharpen your daggers?
It'd be
This
great.
is my +15 dagger. It hits gods and kills them.
Yeah. What? Sean,
Sean, I'm actually gonna even though we're stationary here, I'm gonna keep walking around and making sure that nobody's really around. And
Yeah, good call.
how long do these disguise things last?
1 hour.
Has it been an hour?
No, it hasn't been an hour. It's really only been like 10 minutes since you put them on. Well, getting here probably more like 20 minutes. So you have another 40 minutes with the disguises if you keep them up.
Okay.
Timber, give me you can do perception or investigation. It's up to you.
I will do the perception.
Perceptiones.
Perceptiones for a 27.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm disguised as an Elysian, so I got to play the part.
Yeah, exactly. Got to get those Curon eyes. There is, to be honest, and given your experiences in other cities, like you're uncomfortable with the lack of people watching you, truly, and that there are no guards that you can see in this district, and there's no one at all. You are alone in the Sepulchre. Even on the streets adjacent that you can peer through the wrought iron, you maybe see one guard pass randomly. It's uncomfortable, the lack of supervision. It's kind of that way when you're walking down the street and it's nighttime and you're just looking at the empty dark windows of houses and you just think there's got to be a million eyes watching me right now, even though I can't see any of them.
Kieran, what's the crime rate around here?
I'll be honest, Kaze, I'm not totally sure on that statistic. But Tor-Lancoroth has their small garrison, whatever pilgrims are spending the night, the scraps, those insectoid creatures you saw coming in, and then the Inquisition that rests at the Grey Tower. So, not a lot of rabble-rousers call Tor-Lancoroth home.
Okay.
But if there's nothing else anyone wants to do while you're waiting.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Kieran looks to the party and goes, by the way, when I died and my bag of holding exploded, did anyone happen to see a rod of sorts that held some kind of like magma in it? As you'll recall, we received this item from the Gloomlord Garlemane as an indicator that his people were safe.
This thing, this rod. I like toss it in the air a couple times.
Is it glowing?
It is indicating.
Mundy was playing fetch with that rod for a while.
Mundy
It's got some saliva on it.
was playing fetch with that rod for a very long time, to the point where I'd imagine there were many moments where the rod was almost lost, because Mundy was just flying around with it. But it is indicating that they are that the city of the Duergar still stands.
Perfect.
Okay. Eventually, as you almost the 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, until eventually you would see one of the trees of these groves does sort of open up and expand in that druid crafted way to release these kind of roots up from the ground that then slowly bloom into humanoid shapes. As you can see, stepping out first is Gideon, who his normal ostentatious self, he usually would announce his presence, but he very quietly, he looks much more reserved, and he's not wearing the ostentatious striped overalls. He's wearing a cloak over himself to conceal as he arrives alone and steps forward and kind of just looks around before noticing you all and rushes up to you. Oh, you've done it. You've made it here.
Quick point of clarification. Gideon is the druid leader.
Correct. Yes.
The
Kiran
that
has not
Kiran
met.
Has never. Yes.
Has
okay.
not
Yeah,
met.
he's the one we saved.
Yeah, he
Yes.
wouldn't even walk directly up to Kiran. He would have walked directly up to like Timber and Sarathil,
Mhm.
Scarlet.
Well, we're disguised, so probably Sarathil.
He would actually, yeah, I guess he would walk right up to Sarathil and then look amongst the three of you, like completely uncertain about who you are. He presumes Kiran is Kiran based on conversations, but he looks to Sarathil and would say, "Are we safe? Are we safe?"
Yes, we are, Gideon. I took a look around before. Oh, sorry.
No. I hear your voice. Yes, Timber.
It's
For now,
Well,
we,
not now.
for now we are uncertain if we have been spotted as we entered here.
I think we have been.
But then we
That's
mustn't
correct.
tarry. And he turns and looks to you, Kiran, and he goes up to you immediately and kind of like takes your hands in his. And he just looks at you and says, "An honor to meet you, Kiran Celestana."
Kiran cups a hand on his cheek and goes, "Kinsman, it is truly an honor to meet you as well. Thank you for all the help you've given my friends when I was unable to."
Oh, well, they've given me all the help I need. I'd still be a husk behind a mask without them. It is an honor to push back against Ayla's misguided direction. But alas, we must press on.
It's good to see you alive and well.
Where are the others?
Yes, and what of Talio?
Yes, the others, well... Baka and Talio are still recovering, I'm afraid. They have not... They've not fully awoken, I must say. We had to... but we didn't. Talio, I believe, will live. But how much he recovers is another thing. As for Baka, we have been unable to wake her from her slumber. When a Briganock is sufficiently injured, they tend to fall into a time stop dilation to extend their life to attempt to heal. If she'll wake up, we don't know. But Eldwin, and Florian are recovering well. And I have been in communications with the Anthelion Unity. As distasteful as some of their like are, they did save our lives. It's been a long time since I've been to this city. has grown gloomier than then.
Yes, I've been informed by Sprig, the champion
Sprig!
of Ayla. Of course you know of her. Yes, she was... I wonder where she ended up. Anyways, spoke to her. She seems to say that the Magister, Ilwyn
Orkenthala.
What was it?
Orkenthala.
Orkenthala. Orkenthala is has been taken isn't the right word, but he's been given a blessing by Ayla and slipped even further from his arcane arts to more of a divine one.
Well, I'm afraid the last time I was in the city, he was not in charge of it. I've never heard of this Orkenthala. But then again, I was trapped in a state for quite some time. Nonetheless, we must discuss your plan. If indicated you may have been compromised here, what is your movement forward while we plan our strike on the central spire?
Yes, I had hoped that we could take a moment here to resupply the scraps in the city. Are rather resourceful and could have quite the resources available to us. But it seems that might not be available to us. In which case, we will make the journey north as quickly as possible. Hope that we remain out of the gaze of Queen Ayla.
And what would you have my order do to help?
If possible, with the what is it? The unity, the
Inthelion.
Unthelion. With the Unthelion unity, make a strike at the Sarathil, Sarathinian, Sarathilian.
Sarathilian.
At the last monolith. Draw whatever forces and her gaze away while we make our attack. I was also thinking we have some allies in the Underdark Dwarves. I don't know if they would be able to make it in time, but of course I thought of this now and not, weeks ago when it would have mattered, but, maybe they have a way to reach the ditch town in Therismore and provide some support. Anything we can do to surprise her, keep her on her back foot. We learned that in her age, she is wise in many things, but her short-sightedness is also her greatest weakness.
Yes. Her inability to singularly focus. Time has withered some of her perspective, as you would call it. Of course. You see, kind of like leans on that walking stick that he used to channel his magic. He looks, for those of you who have met him before, significantly more strained. He looks his age. Because before he looked like an old man who was impossibly spry for his age. He now looks appropriately aged after the fight. All right. Well, you said you needed potentially to resupply, right?
Yes. I just thought, some potions. Friend Kazai here is quite the brewmaster. And some reagents might be helpful.
You see, he holds up his hand and holds it in a specific shape and whistles into it, and you hear this tune goes out as you see another root grows up from that tree. and popping out is Elduin, followed by a familiar figure, as Elduin looks back at that figure and goes, I'm telling you again, you got to leave us alone. You got to stop being so intrusive. And oh, sir, we've arrived. And you see, stepping out from behind him, you see a familiar Air Genasi waves his hand. Oh, hey there, guys. I was told that I should bring some stuff for you, maybe. Or at least something to help you get some more stuff. Oh, hey. You're back. They told me you were dead. As Felix arrives with Elduin and points at Curon, and then walks up immediately to Timber and goes to give him a hug.
Felix!
Oh, you thought I couldn't see you behind that. That's real precious.
Yeah, I was trying to see how long it took you.
I'm so... What?
You look a little confused, buddy.
Yeah, you're the tattoo artist, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you ran out of my shop because you were upset that I was...
Ran is a strong word.
I offered you a new arm. Oh, you got a new arm!
Yes, through the natural healing process of a potion of regeneration.
Oh, that's pretty smart.
Yeah,
I prefer this, as he taps onto his mechanical arm.
Yes, and I'm sure it would have worked well, but... I'm sorry, how do you... He says, gesturing to the druids and Felix.
You see Elduin, rubs his temple and says, your friend there summoned him to our grove.
Oh, right.
And he refuses to leave. He was so desperate to leave when he got here, and now he won't leave.
Oh. Felix, what keeps you here?
I was just taking some of your advice. Thought I might see some sights. I haven't been to Elysia in a long time.
Well, it's quite a sight, but this is probably not a good timeline to be visiting.
I figured I'd stick around for a little bit and get out of here when things get hot.
Good.
But no, yeah, I was working with that little creepy guy, Ilgwin, on some of his stuff, and was able to modify one of his brooches to give it a a bit more gumption, as they say.
Who says that?
Nah, they're not from around
right.
here. Yeah, that's true.
Not in this timeline.
And then he kind of puts his hand up and whispers to Timber, I trust this with you, my good friend. And he hands you a brooch of disguise, much like the one that you all currently are using. That only has that one charge before it dissipates. This also has one charge, but it's not a brooch of disguise. It's a brooch of seeming. I can get you one charge here of the seeming spell, a little bit more juice than what you got right now. I don't know how useful it is in the long term, but if you need to do some stuff and get around more quietly and a little bit more effectively than that janky disguise self, this will be helpful.
Thanks. This will be significantly helpful. And Timber reaches in his pouch, gives him 250 gold.
Oh, no, the druid's already paid me, but I'll take this, no problem. Thank you very much for the tip.
It's
always
yeah,
appreciate
this is a
it.
tip.
Yeah, well, you're filling the coffers of our friendship gauge. We're gonna be good buddies soon.
We're not already?
We're associates, friendly associates.
Well, I thought that's what you wrote this F on your... Oh, that's for Felix, not friendship.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
okay.
a common misunderstanding with my friendly associates.
Oh.
Not amongst my good buddies, they understand. So we'll get there one day. All right. Well. Oh, hey.
Say, Felix.
What's up? What's wrong with her? And he points to Scarlet.
Nothing is wrong with me.
That was
I
very
tried to
unconvincing.
have her
Face
brought
slide.
I've never seen a bigger lie in my life. I've lived a long time.
So, Felix, do you have any reagents for potions or anything?
Unfortunately, no good. I'm sorry, friendly associate. I could only transport myself through these stupid trees, so I could not bring much of my supplies. I could really only bring this. The chest had to stay back, so most of my reagents are over in the demi-plane, and I still got to take care of that aboleth.
True.
So I unfortunately can only provide you with this brooch of seeming. Everything else is up to you all at this point, as I'm excited to watch these druids try to take out that spire before I head out.
You're not going to help them.
No, I'm not a fighter.
Right, but you could play like the role of a support. You know, maybe give them some boons.
There's got to be something in that shop of yours that can help blow up a spire.
Can you host them, give them a feast? I mean, they've been nothing but kind to you, giving you hospitality. You can at least you could do is give them a hero's feast, right?
Timber, give me a persuasion roll.
Useful. With advantage, because I'm helping.
Not after saying make yourself useful.
Oh, hold on.
After he just gave you a brooch of seeming.
He didn't give it to me.
Brooch of seeming is something that can be cast on the group.
Yeah, I know
14.
that. I know how seeming works.
He looks at you and goes, I don't know, maybe I could work something out, but maybe if they got a little more interesting stuff to trade, I can definitely help them out.
Here, I could help them out, and I'm gonna just toss him a lot of money. I'm gonna toss him $1,000, 1,000 gold.
Jesus Christ.
Alrighty then. Okay, now we're in business. You want to do what you tell? Okay. Druids. What do you like for your feasts?
And support them in addition, whatever else they need.
No,
this
we'll
covers some of their costs.
We'll see about that, but this will help. Yeah. All right. Ready to go, Eldwin? I'm tired of this place. It's really depressing. All right. I'll take him out of here. See you soon, Gideon. Good luck to the rest of you.
Thanks. Good luck to you as well.
So you see Eldwin and Felix disappear into the roots again. As Gideon looks to you one last time, just says, I'm sorry there's not more we could provide to help. But I think...
No. You've already done so much, and you need to focus on your own needs now. When this is all done, we can meet back up and help each other.
Have ice cream. Oh. Sorry.
Out as much as needed. Build a reunited, stronger, freer Alicia.
I do fear for the aftermath. You know how slow Alicia moves. This is a lot to happen in a very short amount of time.
Well, there's more to come, friend.
Well, to a future brighter and guided by the great rhythm.
Crescent Heart, bless you, friend.
He takes your hands again in his and shakes them, and steps back and holds his cloak up and looks to the rest of you and smiles at Scarlet, Sarathil, and Timber. Remember, you too. Yes. Elliot says hello.
Oh,
did quite well. Did quite well in our invasion. Infiltration.
Good.
And he says he owes you a great deal for that sparring session. Got his
Well,
roots a bit more spry for the fight. The rest of you, Rowan, Timber, Sarathil, remember, we've done great things together. Miracles. We have changed the course of history. Do not forget the unity felt in that chamber. See it to the end. We'll see you again one day.
I look forward to that day.
I owe my life to you all, and even more. And I intend to pay it back. Goodbye.
Good luck.
As he backs away, and the roots kind of go over him and vanish into the earth. As the quietness of the sepulchre returns.
Huron walks up behind Scarlet and just leaning against the glaive goes, "He called you Rowan."
He does. He did. He still seems to care. Walk away.
All right. Huron looks around and he goes,
Can we find some places to purchase materials? Prepare for the fight?
"Yes, if anyone needs to buy anything, I'd suggest going now." Cautiously, it might be
yeah.
best you go with your sneak ways. We can wait here, and once you return, hopefully Talray will have returned, and we can leave. Maybe take a late rest outside on the byway.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm checking with Talray real quick. So
Sure.
Talray, you've fluttered off. So I mean, this is not a huge city, but it's definitely not just sort of a tiny little hole in the wall. Where would you head when you walked away from everyone?
I think I would fly, out, just a little bit further in any old direction, and then I would be thinking about that drake, or the dragon, and thinking like to myself that the party, is once again putting my needs aside for their own goals, and if anything is going to be done here today for the sake of that dragon, it's going to have to be left up to me. So I cast Locate Creature to see if I can still sense it. And I'm going for Moonstone Drake generally.
Mm-hmm.
I got 1,000 feet. I get to know if the creature's moving, what directions it's movement. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless it's like polymorph,
Yeah.
that would like disable it, or running water blocks the path, I think. But it's in the air, so I don't know about that one.
Okay, so I'm gonna need to know what direction you headed in when you flew away from the group. So if you
sure.
I guess if you wanted to say that of the 3 other districts, if you're moving away from where they were heading, which one would you head towards flying above? The Market District, the Woven Circle, towards the Gray Tower, or towards the Rax Thalian sector? So it's official, super kind of Inquisitor's Tower, Marketplace, or residential / military barracks area. Or in between. You can also go in between some of them.
Yeah, I'd probably start heading towards like the big spooky Inquisitor Tower, but like staying low to the ground because I saw that there was like some sort of strange barrier for flight earlier. I'd start heading in that general direction, but once I find that like if guard presence goes up, or if I see more like anything that looks suspicious, I might start flying closer towards the other part of it. It's a concentration of an hour, so
Yeah.
I could kind of cover some
definitely,
ground.
the heaviest guard presence is in the outer wall towards the terrace and around the Inquisitor's Tower. So if you get close to the Inquisitor's Tower walls, you would start to see not necessarily guards like on the ground in front of you, but you'd be able to notice guards are on the wall and at the gatehouse of the Inquisitor's Tower. But I would say you would get a ping when you got to the Inquisitor's Tower for the locate creature. The direction you sense is an upward angle towards the top of the tower. Tower's probably a couple 100 feet high.
Couple 100 feet high. Okay. I think I'm going to try and manage this possibly diplomatically. I'm just gonna walk up to the guards, peacefully, and just say, "Good evening."
Guards would walk up to you and or if you walk up to them, would just look at you a little perplexed. What do you want?
I came to extend my good wishes to the Inquisitors that run this town and ask them a few questions about, the wildlife or, the animals that or the fake creatures that they keep in the tower over there. And I point towards the top. You see, I'm a fey creature of myself, and I have great respect for those creatures. I've been training them my whole life, and I was wondering if my great skills can become a good assist you in any way.
And you're heading to Terrace Mall? Is that your business here ultimately, or are you just here to speak with the Inquisitors about their creatures?
I've heard rumors of these creatures in this town, which has piqued my interest. My main goal is to head to Terrace Mall to see if there's any secrets about the Godre Glomung there. I've been on a search for him for a long time now.
A long way to travel for a wood elf.
Well, I'm a very devout believer in my Godre Glomung. I would one day really appreciate if he could grace himself in my presence.
Glomung was a great friend of our goddess Rivania, and therefore a great friend to Queen Ayla. Give me a persuasion roll.
I'm not good at this. Here we go. Whoa! 19 minus 1 is 18. Good sir.
You see the guard looks at you and then turns around and looks at the other guard. And then you see he holds up a contraption from his waist at his belt where he has this runestone that he seems to activate. And you see in front of him just appears an oculus that looks at him and then to you. And then to him. And then to you. And it turns a ghostly green and vanishes. the gates open. What was your name, traveler?
I'm known as Talray.
The Archon Inquisitor welcomes you, Talray. Right this way. And the guard starts walking in to lead you in.
Go in.
As you step in, you walk in first to sort of an open courtyard area that is devoid of much character. You know, there are old statues here that are kind of seem to be gathered here, almost like you could almost imagine like an area where a sculptor would just keep their like secondhand statues, or the ones that were not quite as good or that need repairs, and this whole courtyard is littered with them. As this guard is leading you through, and you hear just sort of these echoes of your boot falls as you're walking slowly through this dark courtyard with this guard. As you and him approach the front gates of the actual tower, you can hear kind of in the wind the billowing of the tapestries of Queen Ayla above, as these tall double gates of the tower open up, and these pale blue torches light up around the entrance. And he just holds a hand forward for you to proceed in. The Archon Inquisitor awaits you inside.
Thank you. Good work, sir. Have a wonderful night. And I head on in.
And he returns to join his other guard at the front gate. As you step in and you kind of look up, and this kind of like the base of the tower is almost like it's, you realize now that it's almost like the base of the tower is a fortress and the tower extends out from it. As there's these tall ceilings in this entryway that you step into a long hallway that leads to the main chamber of the base of the tower. And as you step in and you're looking above, you hear the gates behind you just close. And inside there are many tall paintings depicting Elysian history. Some of them much more weathered than others. You see more of these forgotten statues all over the place. But it all leads down to a main central chamber where you can see warm fire, not your typical, the ghostly fires you see outside. An actual hearth in this circular chamber in the middle, where you can see standing by a chair with his hand held on the top of it, a nice, lovely, tall, red velvet chair before a grand fireplace surrounded by a library in this circular chamber. You see an individual standing there. Looking up, you can see this, at least a large portion of the lower levels of the tower is hollow leading up, with mezzanines amongst a vast library. And then above is where it returns to other floors of the tower. So this main chamber has a very tall ceiling, and then there's more tower above. But this figure standing in front of you is leaning against the chair. The other hand is holding onto a very tall iron staff. It looks like the figure you saw in the projection, but not being 20 feet tall in the sky, you see this very small man hunched over, his back kind of crooked. He is wearing that helmet of iron that has pinholes all throughout, like many eyes. He has gauntlets on that have these sort of sharp, pointed fingertips, and are armored plate. He has a spell book at his waist, as well as a small scepter that comes to a head that is shaped like a dragon, that looks to be made of gemstones. He has a cloak, and this is the thing that, he has all these interesting ornate features to him. Bland iron staff, but like dragon scepter, interesting helmet, spell book, but the thing that, crazy gauntlets, but the thing that draws your eyes more than anything is the red cloak that he wears all over his body that clings to him and hangs like tresses of flesh, that you, now that you're close up, can see is covered in eyes. Not decorative eyes, blinking, searching, peering, glaring eyes.
Are we talking like human eyes, like they look like eyes, or are they like patchwork eyes that are like moving?
Human moving eyes.
Way creepier. Okay.
He stares at you. Welcome, Tal'Ray. I was not expecting one of your party so soon.
Well, one thing you know about me, I'm not really
about you, Tal'Ray. I know a lot about Curon. I know a lot about Timber, Sarathil, Scarlet.
Well, that puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage then, doesn't it? Well,
That's where I like
I'm sorry, I
you
don't
to
think
be.
you've introduced yourself.
The Archon Inquisitor, Ilin Gweldor Kinthala, servant of Queen Ayla, Undying. As he takes off his helmet, you can see his skin is paled over. You see a very, decrepit elven face. Not decrepit in the sense of, an undead rot, but just elderly looking.
You say it's... Sorry.
No, go ahead. What's the question?
I mean, is it similar to the other Undying heroes?
Yes,
that I've
drained
seen
of
before?
drained of color. He has these marks on his head where there seem to have been some scars, where there may have been something embedded on his head at one point, in 7 points across his head, almost like a crown, and there are tattoos of arcane sigils across like a diadem. But he looks very sickly and tired in the way he looks at you. But he just takes the helmet off to greet you as he says his name. Welcome. My gods tell me that you are here to inquire about our rookery.
Well, rookery is such a question. What is it? It's a bird term. I don't know if I would call it something like that, but yes, I am here to discuss the creatures that you have up on the roof. The majestic moonstone drakes that are under your control.
Yes. We saw that you had one upon your rise.
You see, sir, I've been traveling a long time in search of these creatures. It's my calling in life to take care of them, protect them, and make sure that they're free to do what they will. You can understand that as a man of faith. You have a flock that you protect, I'm sure.
Under the guidance of Queen Ayla, I protect all of Elysia from people like you and your friends. Question
Now,
your
I
order
wouldn't
of
be so
things.
quick to lump me in with the associates that I have battled with in the past.
Is that so? Tal'Ray?
Absolutely. They haven't done me many favors, and I've been following them as per instructions of my great god. And honestly, All they've done is got me into trouble with you folk.
Do you feel as though Curon Celestana is using you?
Yes, but he means well.
He uses all of you to achieve his ends.
Of course, wouldn't you? If you
But it
truly
sounds
believed
like
it
he
was
won't.
right.
Sounds as though he has not provided much for you, though. What
Well,
trouble?
considering that he's been hanging out with you folk for a while and he just got back, he hasn't really had much opportunity. But in the short term, as of today, yeah, he hasn't been that great.
Why don't you come and take a seat by the fire? We can talk more about Curon, and then we can talk more about the Drakes, and what we can do for you, Taure.
I think I'd like that.
Excellent. There is much to be achieved together. Not when we are so discordant under the leadership of someone just simply fashioning you to his needs.
Now, before we go any further, I understand where you're getting at. And I think we can work together. But before any of that can be discussed, I have to make sure that those creatures up there are in good health and are being treated properly.
Of course. We can bring you to the rookery immediately, and you can tend to your creatures, and give us the advice we need on how to care for them, as you are the expert, as you told my god. Valuable.
And I am.
Invaluable to us, as we are only learning how to work with our Moonstone Drake creatures. Someone of your intelligence would be valuable. And well rewarded.
Lead the way.
Right this way. And you see Ilan walks to the center of the chamber, past the fire, and he beckons for you to come forward. As you can see, sigils lighting up around him as the a disc comes out of the ground, like a lift to elevate you up to where the rookery is.
Dark Souls, love it.
Exactly.
Mysterious lifts with contraptions that don't make sense.
Excellent. As you are lifting up with Ilan or Kunthala, up above, we'll cut back to the rest of the party. Timber is off buying stuff. Timber, you can go to the Woven Circle, and I just imagine Timber's overwhelmed as fuck when he steps in there. Basically,
oh yeah,
Timber, as soon as you walk in there, even at this late hour, the scraps don't really go to bed. They kind of continue their trading throughout the night, and maybe even like get into their own bullshit at night, because no one really, like, the guards don't, like, truthfully, probably the safest place to hide in this city is actually probably the Woven Circle, because no one really sees the scraps as much more than scraps that sell good things and make things. So when you walk in there, first of all, there's so many layers of tapestry around that you're not quite sure if you're inside or outside when you step in. Like, it's almost like they use these woven tapestries to have built somewhat of a hive here. It's like well-crafted silken tapestries. These aren't like some like webs they created. These are beautiful cloth materials that people would pay a lot of money for, but they've used it to create a massive hive of a tent city, basically, inside of this city. And when you step inside, you're just gonna hear this chorus of chirping, and immediately you just hear as one of these scraps just lands in front of you, and they walk like kind of bow-legged and have these 4 arms where they're usually holding whatever they're selling in 2 of them, and the other 2 are like signing to you in some sign language you don't know, as they're trying to. Well, actually, I guess.
Do you speak a language?
As they just hawk this like stuff towards you. As you can see, they're holding like what looks like decent stuff though. Like they're holding like well polished leathers. Like this person's clearly a leather worker. This scrap. As you can see, the main differentiation between them is the shimmer and opalescence of their carapace is different amongst them. But then they also have these horns on their heads that differentiate what like give them any kind of like individual personality.
I first will take out one of my like my orb, chromatic orb, not chromatic orb, my chrono orb, and just pick it out and like point to it and then spin it, let it like break. I'm not casting it. Yeah,
just the showcase version.
showcase version of like, oh, do you have any magic items?
As he kind of like flies a little bit his wings come out and he flies up and he hovers around the orb like a moth to a light before landing back in the ground and making some noises and telling you to follow him. As you go deeper into the hive of the woven circle, as you can now see, like as you enter in, there's like chambers, like individual chambers in here that are made up of tapestry, and you can see like some of these scraps are like on the walls, and they kind of like pull the tapestries back and look at you as some of them like drop down from the ceiling and start following you, hawking more materials. As you can see, one is now behind you, and he just has this this contraption that just holds several different glass vials. They're not full of anything. They're just like nice alchemical grade vials. All
yes, please.
There.
I'll buy some of those. Yep.
And then you see he kind of like lays this leather, this like folded leather out and just starts to hold things up for you to affirm. And if you affirm, he just puts them down on the leather, and then puts some material in to protect them, some like hay and whatnot. And then you see he immediately like turns his back to you, and you just hear scribbling of quill on parchment. Looks back at you and then holds up this beautifully calligraphied receipt with the total cost of whatever you end up actually buying. There seems to be a really intense respect for documentation amongst the scraps, and it has to be done in like monk grade, like Catholic monk grade calligraphy. Like big ass first letter of the paragraph in beautiful gold inks into then the actual line items of the receipt.
I take out my quill, which I haven't since season 1, and I will, sign the receipt after paying it. And not my name.
As you do this, you are literally swarmed by scraps who want to sell you things now. But they're despite how aggressive they are fiercely honorable about their trade and exchanges. So no one's like trying to steal from you or anything like that. And they generally can lead you around to the appropriate scrap to sell something to you, because they have no signs necessarily indicating what their shops are, because they don't speak or they can write in common, but they don't like to make signs. They like to write the receipts in common. It's all just part of the hive that they know how to navigate, and they prefer it if you don't know how to navigate it, and they can lead you around. And they don't have names that you can comprehend, so they just lead you around, and you're able to buy almost anything. Like you guys can send me a shopping list, and I'll let you know how much it costs. But like, other than like, I'd like a +4 great sword that is also gives me this and this. They can potions, reagents, for the most part, unless it's something that's deeply not like can't be found in this area. They can provide you with pretty much anything. If you need anything repaired, they are really good at repairing it. They're excellent smiths as well.
I'll be the judge of that.
Their culture that is inscrutable to you is deeply ingrained in artisanship, it seems, and a collective artisanship. It's if you're squeamish around bugs, looking at you, Sarathil, you might not want to come into the woven circle, but yeah, you'll be able to purchase what you need.
Okay,
Just
cool.
spiders.
That's true. They're not arachnids. They only have six limbs. Okay.
Yeah, you can give me a list of magic items later. Sure.
There are magic items here, so I can give you a list. It's you're not going to be finding artifacts here like the chronosphere, but you could probably find some stuff, some interesting stuff. Okay. So Talray is going into the belly of the beast. Kaze is finishing the shopping. What are the three of you doing in the sepulcher while you're waiting, or are you just waiting?
I do have a send.
Of course you do.
To a certain
Ascending
lord.
descent?
And so Kiran will sending
Who?
to the Gloomlord Garlemane.
Got it.
Dearest Gloomlord Garlemane, I apologize for my lack of communication. Journey through Elysia has been more challenging than I expected. I hope that you have dealt with the Elder Brain and that Atmos was helpful. Do you remember who Atmos is?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're the DM. The agent, the ally of Furiatos, or did it again, of
That's
Fierce
your
Soul.
world.
It's just the FI, a Fierce Soul. Anyways, hope all's well, and wondering if we could get some aid from you, if possible. Specifically, if you can get up to Theris more in the next week. Let me know how you're doing.
I'm gonna get into that character now.
I warned you.
I know you did warn me, and I should have prepped this voice more acutely.
That's all right. I keep you on your toes. You gotta
Exactly.
recall
The
all these
sending is, I like sending because it does keep me on my DM toes to remember where people are, what they've done, how they've been.
Mm-hmm.
All right. As soon as you get a response back immediately. There is more. There is more. You think we can get that far north this quickly? We'll see what we can do. You saved our asses. That Atmos. Ooh. We've kept him on retainer since you left. Very, very useful in a tight squeeze. And surprisingly, amenable to gold. No, we will, What's your timeline? When do we need to have troops in the north?
If possible, we should be in Therismore by week's end.
Week's end?
In a week. I don't know what day of the week it
Aye.
is. If not possible, if you could send reinforcements, we have allies in the civil capital of Sarathil.
We'll have to get through the ditch towns. The Griff Neblin will have to let us through.
Well, you're friends with the Diamond Duke, aren't you?
I am. But they've been through a lot. All right. Well, we have defeated the Elder Brain and driven back the Mind Flayer threat. Thanks chiefly to you and your friends' endeavors and the way you weakened their colony and even further gave us Atmos to help. So the least we can do is try to offer some support to your efforts in the north. I cannot reach Therismore in time to help you there. It's been a long time since the Dwergar have been on the surface. But I suppose it's time. Given the rumors about you now going through the Underdark, Mr. Twilight Shepherd.
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about.
You've made quite an impression on the Ettins.
Good folk, but a little superstitious, I'll admit.
But you can expect something to arrive in Elysia.
Garlemane, whatever assistance you can send, we will be eternally thankful for your help. My people are in need.
Was there someone
I
we
am
should
in-
be looking out for? Or are we just
yes.
walking out into the forest, trees, whatever you call it? Trees, right?
Yes, the green things with the brown trunks. They're like mushrooms, but have feathers on them.
Feathered mushrooms, that's right. All right. well,
But when you reach the area around Sarathil, we have some druids that have been aiding us. A Gideon would be best to meet up with. I'll inform him to keep an eye out for warriors of the deep.
Well, we have never we've never been to Elysia. We have no maps of Elysia.
Oof. What would be the closest ditch town to...
I suppose if you made a good enough impression upon the Zirf Neblin, they may be able to help us navigate. Since some of them have been to the surface of Elysia. I know who you're trying to think of. You're trying to think of that one council member that you made a really good impression with by the end.
Yeah, was that the old lady?
Well, the old lady
Or-
liked you.
Yes.
But it was the Trap Master was who you...
Right,
you,
the Trap Master.
Yeah. I don't have the names right in front of me, but it was the Trap Master and the Seer with her
Cirrus.
pig. The Seeress with her pig.
Yeah. The seer. I
The
think
seer,
the
yeah.
Cirrus is the spooky one, yeah.
Seeress
Yeah.
is the spooky one. She was just a seer.
The Trap Master seems to be the one that's actually daily engaged with
Yeah.
the goings-on.
Yeah.
So, unless you would like me to roleplay it, I think Kieran is just going to cast a few more sendings to...
Yeah.
You know, he'll flatter the Trap Master and go, "Great Trap Master, I beseech you for some help. Blah, blah, blah. The deep dwarves, if you can send them on their way to the area around Sarathil." He'll then resending to Gideon, informing him, I believe we found you some allies in the fight against.
I'll say you can generally speaking, you can leverage the different seeds you've planted amongst the road from Garlamane's Keep to the road from Kopel Rostfa through Smoothhold up into Elysia. Deep Gnomes probably might offer minimal support in this moment, but you made a good enough impression with the Seer and the Trap Master, so long as the Bat Cult has not fucked things up too much. But
I warned.
You warned them, so they had a heads up.
Also, they have a pallid mask. Well,
that's true. Uncle Owick
item.
can always help. Okay. So yeah, I'll say you can, and if you want to send me any specifics of like your requests to them, you can, just so we have a map for them. But they generally, the people you reach out to are in supportive of helping you in certain grades. The Gloam Lord being down to do whatever you want, he owes a great deal to you in the party. Whereas the Zvir from Neblin would likely do it out of support for bringing Wiswick to his resting place and the impression you made on them. Any other sendings tonight, sir?
No.
Any more
no,
collect
the last
calls?
Conversation will be IRL. As Kiran goes looking for Scarlet. He might like inform Sarathil, like catch him up, just like, oh yeah, I did some things. Are you proud of me?
Sarathil?
Sarathil, sorry.
He sends a message to all the citizens of Sarathil.
Are you proud of me?
I am coming to save you all.
But yeah, he updates Sarathil and looks for Scarlet.
Scarlet is just sitting by herself, just doing that obsessive thing where she unpacks and repacks her bag, just taking inventory.
Walking over and observing for a moment from a distance, Kiran takes a few steps forward and goes, "No need to unpack. The idea is to get in and out as quickly as possible before the Magister comes looking for us."
Not unpacking, I'm taking stock. What do you want?
Oh, I just... Fierce Soul, your god, do you remember the ally I summoned for the Gloom Lord and the Duergar?
It's my father's god, and yes.
Well, turns out he was quite helpful, and the work we did there in the Underdark, it really helped people.
Spectacular.
I just thought you should know that, our actions, all that we do, it helps the greater world. Everyone benefits from what we do.
I'm not in the mood for a lecture, Kiran.
I apologize. I'm not here to lecture, just...
You do realize that I'm furious with you.
And you do realize that you've put us at risk. Every time you talk to him, every time he visits you, he and the Pallid King learn more and more about us.
I can't get over.
You must.
No,
Scarlet.
I can't get over you telling me to hold on to hope and then trying to have him killed. I trusted you with all of the information about him. You know what he means to me. You were the one that told me, if there is any shred of hope, to hold on to it. That's exactly what I did. That's what I'm doing. You hurt me, Kieran.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you. I don't regret what I did.
I don't regret what I did either.
You understand the threat he poses. Not just to us, to all the innocents, all the people he's killed. You're okay with that? All the pain and suffering Thatcher has caused. You're okay with letting him continue his corruption. There's nothing in you that wants to stop him.
Kieran, I've done the same thing. The same things that he's done. I have no leg to stand on, broken or not. When it comes to the things he's done. All I can do is try and reach him. Talk some sense into him, maybe. Bring him back.
I just fear the day that you and him are face to face. And I fear that you might not have the strength to do what needs to be done.
I will.
Kieran just bows his head, taps the glaive against the ground, and walks off.
Okay. Sarathil. Hey, buddy. I imagine you're...
There's a lot of tension going on today.
I know. You just hanging out, kind of off to the side while you're waiting for Timber to get back?
Pretty much. Yeah, there's nothing. I'm new to this town, and I realized that we're probably being watched, so trying to lay low as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. As you're kind of waiting, and the longer you're in this town, Sarathil, you start to notice as you're waiting a commotion in your bag. And then an emanating glow from the arcane core in your bag.
Ah. Okay. Obviously, I'll take it out and look upon it and investigate.
As you open it or bring it out, you can see it's sort of pulsing, and you don't even summon him. It just happens. The earthen form of Naldo just comes to life as Naldo kind of is staring down at you and just sort of seems like in a weird state where his limbs are jerking around and locking in place at certain points, and the lights behind his eyes are glowing in that same way as he's just repeating over and over again. Biswick Bilgru for Ladiel Ninja Bedrin the other rock.
Easy.
Bilgru or Ladiel Ninja Bedrin the other rock.
Nodo, how did you summon yourself?
Although did not. That's where we're gonna end tonight. With a bunch of twists in the knot of this rope. In the city on the edge of night. As you prepare for a swift exit from this city, if possible, for your party. Though complications have arisen amongst the unity of said group at the critical hour leading up to your assault on Queen Ayla. Thank you, folks, for joining us. We will hopefully see you around during the week. We have Relaxing in Paradise on Wednesday, where I'll continue working on some terrain stuff and hopefully play some video games. We'll see what's out there, what's cool right now. Probably play, I don't know, I really want to play V Rising for some reason, but we'll see what I play. If I play anything, I might just craft. Friday, Shannon and I will be back at the Scales Above. Sunday, we'll have the Sean and Shannon Power Hour, where we'll recap tonight's episode.
Last notes.
And then we will return on Monday for the next episode of Advantage in Paradise, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us then as we keep pushing forward. All right, thank you folks so much for joining us. We're going to send a raid on over to a member of the community now. Thank you so much to D&D Jordan Lee, if you're still in chat, for the raid. We appreciate that so much. Love to see you around. Hope that your stream was great. We're going to send a raid on over. Let's see, who is on right now? We'll send a raid on over to Warlocks and Waffles. They're playing D&D. Go and give them some love from Paradise. And we'll see you all throughout the week and next week. Have a lovely evening. Thanks for sticking around with us. Goodbye. I say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.